This is a list of 20 tips I wish I knew sooner about Black Ops 6 Zombies, including multiple strats to earn points much faster, the best augments to work towards, and even a way to get a raygun for free. So, let's begin. Mule Kick is not a perk in Black Ops 6 Zombies, but unlike previous Zombies games, in this, you actually have 3 weapon slots at all times. The twist is that one of them is just your knife, and you can pull it out as its own weapon, and even pack-a-punch it and add ammo mods. So this means you can have 3 ammo mods ready to use at any time, which is kind of OP. And it doesn't take up one of the slots that you're using for your primary and secondary weapons. Now, there are some secret strats that you can use to make this even more powerful. So one thing the knife does for you is it allows you to run really damn fast. And if you're in a boss fight, for example, it's going to be the best way to stay nimble and revive your friends. It also does more damage than the regular gun butt melee attack. And while you can replace the gun butt with the force punch if you buy melee macchiato, that perk also buffs your knife damage as well, making it even more viable. Earning enough points in this game is so difficult. I constantly just feel like I've got no points unless I'm following this next tip. And it's different to how things used to work in the past. So in old Zombies, before Black Ops 4, you would shoot zombies a couple of times and then knife them in the early rounds because your melee kills would get you the most points possible, and you wanted the points from the hits as well. So you'd get under 100 for a standard kill, 100 for a headshot, and then 130 for a melee kill. But now, melee kill points have been nerfed, and they only give you 105 now, while critical kills now give you the most at 115. So you should only ever be doing those, and they're a lot less risky than melee as well. Now, we'll come back to some free points Easter eggs later in the video, just before we talk about the free raygun Easter egg. But for now, I want to keep talking about critical kills. So we all know how to get crits on regular zombies, but what exactly are the special zombies weak to? And how do you crit them? Well, just like Pokemon, different ammo mods are super effective on different enemy types. So Manglers are susceptible to fire, which is the Napalm Burst ammo mod. Abominations are also susceptible to fire, Napalm Burst, but they're also susceptible to toxic damage, which comes from Brain Rot. Amalgams are susceptible to electric damage from Deadwire and void damage from Shadow Rift. Parasites, the little flying bug thingies, are susceptible to frost from Cryofreeze, and vermin are as well. Now, speaking of vermin, did you know there's actually a way to make the game stop rendering in the arms and legs of all of the vermin? So they just look like little floating cute worm things. It looks super goofy, but it's useful if you're scared of spiders, and it's called arachnophobia mode in the game's settings. Now, going back to taking down some of those special enemies like abominations and stuff, you might find that even with ammo mods, you're still struggling to take them down. And so a pro tip, especially if you're struggling with amalgams, I would say, is to make use of Scorestreaks. You can craft these at the crafting bench, and there's also some ways to get them for free, which we'll talk about later in the video. But even if you can't afford the higher tier ones and you just have lower tier streaks like the Mangler Cannon, it still goes crazy on special enemies. But they also have a secondary benefit, which is a little bonus tip here. And that's that if you're using something like a mutant injection or a laptop-based score streak like a chopper gunner, it's gonna make you immune while you use it. You're completely invulnerable to damage, and that means that you can essentially use them like a dying wish. So you might not even want to be doing a crazy amount of damage in that moment, but you just don't want to go down. And if that's the case, you can just pull out one of these score streaks and become impervious to any damage that the zombies might be throwing at you. Next, this is a warning, and this is gonna save you guys so much heartache, so I don't know, thank me by leaving a like on the video or something. There is an in-game timer which will kick you for inactivity. I know that sounds crazy, but Black Ops 6 Zombies is online only, so you're always playing on their servers, and if you stand still for just a couple of minutes, it will boot you from the game and you'll be kicked for inactivity, which will ruin your run. So keep moving, even if you plan to AFK for a little bit, or you just want to do something on a second monitor or on your phone. And believe me, this is something I really wish I knew sooner, because it happened to us during our Easter egg hunt, which sucked. The good news is that if this does happen to you in solo, Black Ops 6 Zombies has an automatic save and quit feature, and it will do a save for you if you are kicked. But this does not work in co-op, so beware. Next, you might be familiar with different brands doing collabs with COD and putting skins based on their brand in the game. But what you might not know is some of them are only available for a limited time, and they have in-game Zombies rewards. So for example, this is the mystery box weapon weapon charm, which is one of my favorite charms in the game, but it's only available if you buy a specific figure from the U2's store. So I've linked this in the description down below. I have an affiliate code with them, so click that link and use code Milo to get a discount. And if you buy that specific figure, you'll get the mystery box charm in game, but it's only for a limited time. So I wouldn't really wait around on this one. And just make sure you don't forget to use that discount code. A feature returning from Cold War Zombies is the ability to craft self-revives. So you can just get yourself back on your feet if you get downed, whether that might be in solo or in co-op. But the difference from Cold War to now is that you are limited on how many self-revives you can craft, which makes the whole game a lot harder because you've always got that risk that you're going to essentially run out of revives. However, I have a trick for you to get more revives than the limit. So in every game you play in Black Ops 6, you're going to be seeing the SAM machine spawn in every couple of rounds, and it's findable by looking for a purple portal in the sky, separate to the blue mystery box light that you can also see around there. So find that purple portal, run over to the machine and activate it. It will then give you a challenge of some kind, and if you get up to legendary reward status, which just means maxing out the counter for whatever it's asking you to do, you'll then get a legendary box after you finish the trial, which can contain, amongst other things like gold weapons, self-revives, even if you've already hit the limit of how many you're meant to be able to have in your game. Now, I also have a bonus tip for you in the trials department, and that's that sometimes you'll get this one to get equipment kills in a really short period of time. And this can be really damn difficult, and it's a bit frustrating when you get a difficult trial because you've just spent money to activate it, and now you're going to get a terrible reward. But with this equipment trial specifically, what I'd recommend is instead of focusing on semtex or crafting other kinds of explosives, you should actually be focusing on the throwing axe, because it's not super expensive to craft and it has infinite uses. So you'll be able to run through this trial much more easily. Now then, I said at the start of the video, we'd talk a bit about augments. Before I give you the tip, I need to just show you where they are because some people don't even know that they're there. So this is the augments menu in the game lobby. And what you're going to want to do when you start is go into the research tab. And I would highly recommend you start off researching stamina. What that means is you just need to get as much XP in your games as possible. And you don't have to be using stam while getting the XP. You just need to get XP overall. And that will progress you on your augment research. Now, as soon as you finish your first or second game, go back to this tab and check if you've unlocked your first augment. And if you have, then go into the equip augments menu and put on your new stam augment. Then I would recommend going back to the research tab and switching it to Deadwire and getting a couple of augments there. And once you've hit 3 augments unlocked total, my tip for you here is to focus on grinding through several quick revive augments in the research tab, because one of them allows you to revive your teammates and have them keep the perks on their bleed out bar, which can be so unbelievably useful, especially if you're trying to go for boss fights, and it means you don't have to rebuy those perks, which will save you a load of points. I've also got a ton of other videos talking about augments and specific builds you can make with them, like this crazy sort of supersonic melee build, so keep an eye out for that on my channel as well. And if you've been keeping up with all my uploads, you'll probably have seen my videos talking about the bowling Easter egg in Liberty Falls, which I think is so cool. But I actually discovered on stream the other day that you can repeat the bowling Easter egg and get more rewards from it. So the first time you do it, you're going to get a free perk, but then when you repeat it, you can get things like free gold guns as well, even if you're not at a crazy high round. To do this, once you finish your first game of bowling, go a couple of rounds and then come back to this window and shoot the new pair of shoes there, and that will put you back into bowling for you to go for another reward. Next up, here's another way to get not only some free points, but also get free weapon rarity upgrades and free pack-a-punch levels. So all over the watery areas of the map, you'll be able to find crates hidden underwater, which have a little light on the front. And if you go and hold square on them, they'll pop open and contain a bunch of useful rewards. Sometimes it's just salvage, but other times they can give you Ethereum crystals to pack your weapon or ether wrenches to upgrade its rarity. Another thing that's so nice about Black Ops 6 Zombies is that you can actually switch to different gobblegum packs mid-game. So if you're playing and you're like, oh, I don't want to use my free gobbles here, I want to use some more hardcore ones, you can just switch to a new pack, and that's fine. And you can do the same thing with your field upgrades now, which is a real quality of life improvement. Another thing I've seen a lot of questions about in my comment section is what the keys are for that drop from special zombies when you kill them, and what the different rarities mean. Basically, these work in conjunction with the vault on Liberty Falls and the armory on Terminus. And the rarities are the same as your weapon rarities, so they'll go green, blue, purple, orange. The higher the rarity, the better the reward, and all you've got to do is go into the vault or go into the armory and open up one of the little boxes there, and then take the rewards out from inside. But I've got a bonus tip for you here that makes these even better. So you can't open somebody else's box. So if someone uses a key and opens a box in the armory, let's say, you can't have a teammate open your box. But what you can do is you can look into the box yourself, and then if there's something in there that you want to share with a teammate, you can just choose to drop it instead of equipping it, and that'll plop it onto the floor, and your teammates will then be able to pick it up. The same tip also applies to the trials machine that we spoke about earlier. So if you get a self-res and you've already got one, you can drop it for a teammate. Next, let's talk about XP a little bit. So obviously everyone wants the XP grind as fast as possible, but what you might not know is that zombie medals actually give different amounts of XP. And so if you really want to optimize your XP earning, getting a lot of consecutive critical kills and multi-kills is generally a good idea, as those just give you a little bit more juice. Next, this is such a simple tip, but it's so effective, it's crazy. So since Cold War Zombies, mantling has become a bigger part of the movement sandbox, and my goodness, the zombies do not know what to do when you're mantling. So if you're ever in a really hairy situation, like for example, outside of the front of the church in Liberty Falls, or running around a lot of those sort of outdoor areas and stairs in Terminus, you might find that if you just stay running straight ahead, you get stuck on the zombies. But if you're constantly mantling, the zombies don't know where to path to, and so it kind of keeps you safe for a couple extra seconds, which can be absolutely life-saving. Now, speaking of life-saving, you're about to see what I did there with this segue, the amalgam can also life-save by healing itself. And this is something you might not notice if you have health bars turned off. But if you turn health bars on, you'll see that it can recharge its health bar, and that means that you obviously need to do a lot of damage to it in one go, and the raygun is a really effective way to do that. Now, I mentioned we would come back to a quick free points Easter egg before we talk about the free raygun. This works on a Terminus or on Liberty Falls. You just need to find the pool table and shoot the balls, and 100 points will pop out. And I'm not sure if this resets or not in your game, so maybe pay attention to it and let me know in the comments. And now we can get on to the free raygun. So it turns out there are actually several ways to do this, because rayguns can be acquired from a whole lot of different objectives and quests in the game, but some of the simplest ones that are the easiest to do are as follows. First of all, the trials machine that we talked about earlier can give you a raygun if you get a legendary reward status. And similarly, if you're getting legendary keys from zombies that you're taking down, those can also give you a raygun if you use them in the vault or the armory. And on top of that, a lesser known way to get it is to destroy the crystals in the church on Liberty Falls, and sometimes that will contain a raygun. And there's another way to get free wonder weapons as well, and this has low probability, but it can happen, and when it does, it's so satisfying. So there are loads of cars around the map on Liberty Falls, but one particular car is special, and if you destroy it with a mangler cannon, there's a chance it will give you a free wonder weapon, such as a raygun or the jet gun. So you can end up with a raygun on round 3 or a jet gun on round 5. And speaking of the jet gun on round 5, I actually have an in-depth tips video for you to build the jet gun on round 5 or before and pack-a-punch it at the same time. And it uses a bunch of pro strats on the map and means that you're set up for your game so fast. So it's linked on screen right now. Give it a click and let me know what you think.